ready to make a movie. Here's a girl and a gun. Come along and join the party while we stare at the sun.
We've got some fabulous guests coming up on the show today. We have Laura Civis joining us from WIFT, and an engineer and a producer. How about that for a combination?
And Greg Reed from, what's the company called? Aerial Films Australia.
Aerial Films Australia. There's a chopper over in one corner.
They've got a whole helicopter here on the show floor. If you come to the show, you've got to go down to the back corner there in Hall, is it Hall 3, Hall 4?
It's in Hall 4.
And they've got a whole, I don't know how they got it in here, to be honest.
They flew it in.
They flew it in.
Yeah, of course, just through the door, carefully, a little bit under. You don't believe that for a moment.
We'll talk to Greg how he managed to do that.
Yeah, because that's actually a very interesting part.
Yes.
But so Greg will be joining us in a little bit. Okay, so coming up right now, we sent our raving reporter Pat Sproul out to have a little bit of a look. And of course, one of the things that we're doing at this show is we're bringing this stream to you very live, courtesy of Origin Digital and Telstra. We asked Pat just to give us a chat about it. What's happening, Pat?
Thanks, John. Yeah, the live streaming, it's been an addition to SEMPI this year, something we've looked forward to doing. So we're actually playing out of the OB truck via a server and via a direct link with the JMC studio that is then being fed straight back out of the truck via an aspect ratio converter into a fibre in the building. The fibre runs down to the control room in Skek here, which is then sent down a Telstra DVN. Now the Telstra DVN is essentially a fibre network between different facilities in all of the capital cities. Telstra then route that signal, it's essentially HD-SDI straight down their DVN network. They route that signal straight into a centre that's doing the conversion and the upload for the web. And the group that I've been dealing with there to make that work is Origin Digital. And they've been fantastic. Literally, all I have to worry about is feeding them a signal on SDI. They do the conversion and they send me back web encode codes. So I take those web encode codes, put them straight into our web hosting page, and magically video appears. It takes all the complexity out of it. We've done previous events where we have run the compression at this end, so we've put our own encoder boxes in and our own conversion boxes and then send it out over IP. And that works, but it's a bit hit and miss. This, it's just worked, it's been simple.
Thank you, Pat. Welcome back.
That was a throw you weren't really expecting, wasn't it?
No, I wasn't.
Live television.
Live television.
Okay.
We have our first guest with us now. We have Laura Civis from Courage Films, who is also president of Women in Film and Television. Did I get that right?
You did
yes,
indeed.
I did indeed. Okay. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you.
So
now, you two apparently know each other.
We do. Well, we've met several times. Laura, would this be 2 SEMPTIs ago? Would be the winner of the 3D competition. Was that 2 or 3 ago? I mean,
no, 2 ago.
It was 2
2009.
ago. And that was when you were producing it was a pilot that was going to be for a 3D film?
Yes, it was a proof of concept that we did. We were looking at how we could do a live action film with lots of action being the point in the case, because most 3D films up to that point had been documentary style films with slow moving action shots, tracks across scenery, and we wanted to see if we could do shoot 'em up fighting and action in 3D, and this was obviously well before Avatar had come out. And so we did a proof of concept to see what worked, what didn't. We had some interesting visual effects elements that we had to deal with, like holograms and stuff like that, and we were trying to work out how we were going to do that in 3D.
And this of course, in the heyday of 3D is going to be the next big thing, and everybody will be doing it.
Well, and it was also that thing of we were out there trying to convince people that 3D was going to be a viable format, and it was going to be something that was interesting, and it was going to be coming to cinemas, and everyone was like, "You're crazy, go away."
Do you still think it's a viable format?
Look, I think it is. I think it's for a certain type of film. I don't think I don't think there's really any point to do a 3D film in drama. If you're doing a wonderful scenic documentary, fabulous. If you're doing something that's bang for your buck and exciting, and it's adding an extra dimension of excitement, and absolutely. And I think that we'll see 3D continuing in the studio tent poles. We'll see it continuing, obviously, with the documentaries. We will also see it in mainstream, action and thriller type stuff. Like we've seen it come out in horror films, we've seen it come out with, you know, more action adventure type stories, and I think that those will be the genres that will get, you know, continue to have a good broad appeal for that stuff. And the superhero projects.
Opinion is still very split on whether it works or not. I mean, I can only think of 2 films that it really was a benefit to me personally.
Only 2?
Yeah, Avatar and Life of Pi, where I thought the 3D was really well used.
Yeah, but there's a reason for that, mate.
Yeah.
You're getting on in years.
Right.
And your eyes don't work as well anymore.
And that's one of the issues. Yes.
And the reality is that older people don't like it as much because their eyes don't work so well.
It's just because I'm getting old.
It is, and it's true, because as we get older, our eyes actually, the lenses in our eyes become harder, and of course that's why as we move on in age we need glasses, and so anything that comes out of the screen becomes harder to watch. But the younger guys whose eyes work perfectly well really enjoy you know, that experience of having stuff coming out of the screen, whereas as we get older it becomes more hard work, so we prefer to have the window feel, where we're looking through a window that has a nice depth.
I hadn't heard that
yeah, no,
approach,
absolutely. Actually, when we did the 3D Day conference in 2011 with Content Technology, I was the chairperson of that. We actually had a behavioural optometrist come in and speak and explain why 3D works for some people and not for other people.
Okay, now look, this would a nice segue into something that maybe people don't know about you, which is, you know, you're talking about a very technical topic, but you actually started as a technologist, as an engineer.
Yeah, I'm a professional engineer, and my first work experience gig was actually with Magnet Tectronics, and I used to do satellite communication systems. That was my first gig.
And how was that, you know, like as a woman in what is a very disgustingly blokey industry, you know, how did that work?
Look, for me, I've always found, certainly in the engineering front, everyone has always been incredibly professional and has treated me with respect and as a, you know, a competent individual. I've never ever seen any issue in the engineering field. It was interesting because I started off in the television industry, and then I moved into defence, and I worked in defence for, you know, a dozen years, working on Collins class submarines and combat system simulators and flight simulators and tracking systems and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Girly stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. You can tell the kind of movies I like to make.
Yeah. I see where it goes.
Sci-fi action adventure. And then I moved back to the film industry, coming in as a producer, because by then I had, you know, moved into management, and I thought, well, like, do I go into visual effects, which is kind of the groovy fun side of it, or do I, you know, what? And it was really a case of what do I do? And I thought, well, I need to learn about filmmaking, how films are made, and I thought, oh, well, let's go and do something. And I went off to New York and did a film producing course over there, and in fact stayed with the producing or management hat, I suppose, but I like the tech. So I've always been passionate about the tech, and I think that, you know, when 3D came out, you know, there was that whole thing of, oh, good, I can be one of the first people that plays with this. And
so then, now, what message do you give to people? Like, as
because your other hat is as president now, recently
of WIFT.
Yeah.
Yes.
An organisation that is not normally known for people who are on the technical side. So, sort of wondering, you know,
well,
this is a very technical show, and you as president of WIFT, you know, what message would you give to women who might want a career in the media?
Well, I'm currently president of WIFT, but if we go back another dozen years when I first came into the industry, again, in sort of mid-career, I was the one who was in there pushing and saying, well, you know, we run the WOW Film Festival, which is the World Women's Film Festival, and the criteria back then was, is the film written, directed or produced by a woman? And I made a very strong case to say, well, hang on a minute, we're supposed to be promoting women in the film industry. Those are not the only roles. There's camera, there's sound design, there's editing, and I really pushed very hard to have those other disciplines included as criteria for, you know, women's creativity and competence as selection criteria. So, you know, it fits very well, because I think it's broadening the mindset of what defines a woman in our industry. It's not just, oh, they're creators, writers, directors.
And part of this is you're now running mentorship programs and other things. We have to wrap up, got to move along, but what's the website for Women in Film and Television?
It's WIFT, WIFT, NSW www.wowfilm.org.au.
Okay, and is there anything in particular coming up that you just want to mention for our audience?
Well, we have the 20th anniversary film festival for WOW. We have the mentor screen. We have several rounds each year that focus in different disciplines. We have training events that run, every 2 months or so, where we invite members to learn about specific aspects of the film industry. And
okay, so go to the website, look them up, become a member. If you want to learn more, check out what WIFT are doing.
Okay. Thanks very much for joining us on A Girl and a Gun Live. You're with A Girl and a Gun Live, coming to you from the SMPTE 13 Conference and Exhibition. We'll be back in a moment.
Welcome back to Girl and a Gun, and we have our second guest for the day, Greg Reid. Hello, Greg.
Hello.
You've just started up a business doing aerial, supplying solutions for aerial photography, basically. We have a package that we actually filmed on your stand, which we're going to run that now, and then we'll talk to you about that. Okay, so let's run that package now.
We're Aerial Film Australia, and we specialise in providing mounts and cameras for aerial cinematography, for television, feature films, commercials, that sort of thing. We've got a range of different mounts on the stand. We've got some of the older technology that's been around for a long time, and we've got some of the newest stabilised gimbal technology here as well. It's an older mount. It's a Tyler nose mount, and it basically sits fixed on the nose of the helicopter. You only shoot with wide-angle lenses, but you get these amazing wide-angle dynamic shots, so you're very much in the pilot's seat with it. So over here we've got a Tyler middle mount, again one of the older kinds of mounts, and this essentially sits on the side of the helicopter, and great fun to fly because you sit essentially hanging out half out the side of the helicopter, and you're totally connected with the camera. Just arrived in Australia last week is kind of like the Mack truck of mounts. It's not as fast and as speedy as a Gyron, but it's able to carry any kind of camera package. So you can have a package as large as an f/65 with an Optimo 24 to 290 35mm lens in it. So
hi, I'm Dan Wolf. I'm with Gyron Systems International. This is one of our units here, and with Wolf Air Aviation, we operate helicopters and Learjets and fixed-wing airplanes to do air-to-air cinematography for the movie industry mostly, but we also do a lot of stuff for the Air Force and for NASA.
What Aerial Film Australia are up to. Greg, we had a look at 2 of the rigs that you're showing off down there. Tell us a bit more about the company and what you're offering.
Well, we wanted to have a solutions company which would actually cover all mounts and all aerial solutions. So really the problem was, in Australia in particular, we found that there wasn't one person that really had the knowledge of the very simple mounts, which are just simple brute gyro stabilized mounts, through to the very complex 6-axis shot over type mount. So we wanted to have a business that would be able to offer that whole solution so people could really just ring up or contact us or go to our website, which we've created, which then they can go through and navigate through to see what mount might best suit what they want to shoot.
Can we just back off for a minute? You
Yep.
said like 6-axis shot over mount. What does
Yes.
that mean? It's gobbledygook. And I'm a technologist.
Okay, well, with the gyro-stabilised mounts, which are the ball mounts that go onto the helicopters, up till now, most of the mount, well, actually all the mounts have all been 5-axis. So the Cineflex mount and the
Okay, so 5-axis. Now, which 5 axes are we talking about?
So you can move this way and that way, but you can't necessarily spin it around. So it just gives you more versatility.
Right.
It means you can actually shoot straight down and rotate and not
Right.
roll over. So you actually get a lot more versatility in regard to what you want to shoot. Basically now you can shoot any direction.
Did I count 3 axes there? But then you also...
But there are another 3
focus,
axes inside,
which is...
which are another roll and tilt axis, but it's
Right.
actually inside the other axis, so you actually get 6.
So does your operator have to be an octopus?
Yeah, pretty well. I mean, you've got all the buttons there. The console actually allows you to be able to go in and control and dial in what you want. But it is complicated. We did a shoot on Friday, and I know we're in Sydney Harbour, and we're looking straight down, and it got so complex. The helicopter was going one way, he's going another way, and kind of in getting a boat, and you're going, well, hang on, now where am I? Is this mount upside down, pointing backwards? Because it'll let you do that.
Yeah.
I mean, does that take for it to be an operator for something like that? Do you have to sort of have this weird ability to orient yourself in 3D space and not be confused by reality?
Well, yes and no, but it's a point and shoot mount. So ultimately what you're doing is you're framing. So you're just framing, you move it around, it's got beautiful, it allows you just to find your frame and you just watch your frame. So it's kind of in a way you're like playing on a video game in some respect. You have a big monitor in front of you and you're just dialing it in. You may lose the orientation to where you are in space as far as the helicopter is concerned, because the helicopter is your platform.
Right.
But really, it is just a matter of just finding that frame. So really, it doesn't take a lot to actually learn the system. It probably takes a lot to be able to zoom and focus and do all the finer movements really well.
Now
In a helicopter that's doing this.
Yeah. You're offering these for hire, obviously.
Yes.
But you're also offering the service that we've got this and we can hire them, but if someone's shooting in a remote area, you'll find a solution near them.
Yes.
Where it's not necessarily your company that's supplying the service.
That's right.
You're just saying where they can get what they need.
Yeah, we're about to do a shoot in Kakadu, for example, where
Yeah.
we're shooting right across the top part of Australia, and they had a particular request in regard to how they're going to shoot it. They came to us. We found the best mounts that would work for them within their budget as well, showing them examples on our website where you can actually click on and actually see what the different mounts do.
And this is the other thing, saying, tell us what you want to do and what your budget is. We'll try to find the best solution for you.
Correct.
with
And
gear.
are you shooting HD? Are you shooting 4K? Do you want to shoot something larger than that? We have the different mounts that allow you to shoot right up to 8K. I mean, some of our bigger mounts will take any camera, and any camera in the future as well. So we've got open platforms that'll allow that to happen. So
And presumably movie cameras as well as...
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We do a lot of movie work. So this year we've done most of the movies in Australia, and we
Give
use
us
our
some
different
titles.
platforms. Oh well, we just did Healing, and which was the film happened down in Melbourne. Wolf Creek 2, aerial shots, tracks. So it's just we just find solutions that will work for them, and a lot of TV commercials and
What's the most complex thing you've ever done, or the most creepy thing that you've ever done? You're like, how
What's the
are we
biggest
gonna do
challenge
that?
you've had?
Yeah.
I think in challenge in aerials is actually getting into the right area at the right, to being able to get the right shot and to be able to get close enough. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges. But also to be able to get really close, but then the brief is also to get extraordinarily wide, where a drone wouldn't be able to get into that area, because it can get in close and intimate, which is great. But then once you get out much further, you're trapped. You can't get beyond a certain range.
Let me ask you a question without notice. I'm not sure what the answer is going to be to this. The film's going to have a cinematographer lined up.
Yes.
Now, let's say we have a cinematographer who's not done a lot of aerial, and they're going to be operating this presumably. Would you suggest a specific cameraman? Do you have people on call who can do these specialty shots?
We do have aerial cinematographers that we've worked with before who are fantastic, and we can always recommend them. We also have a lot of aerial, DPs that come to us and say they want to work with the mount themselves. So we don't try to lock that in. We'll just say we do have specialists who are great at that sort of work.
And therefore, can you supply a bit of training if necessary?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
We do offer that for people who want to learn the systems. So we can.
Expensive sort of stuff though. If you can't really learn this stuff until you take the chopper up. So you've got all of that time. I mean, how do people actually learn this without breaking the bank?
Some of the other systems, away from the electronic systems, but going into the more brute systems, or like the Tyler system, really it's like an aerial Steadicam. So really it's a point and shoot. So you don't have to really know a lot other than be able to just steer it in the right direction.
Sure.
So it doesn't take any training in respect to that.
And we're talking like the big helicopter things. Come down to a smaller, more affordable budget level for someone doing a guerrilla film, say. What, in terms of drones and smaller packages, what is there that you can offer for there?
Well, we have a thing called the Mini Tyler, which is a little mini gyro mount. It's 2 brute gyros within a package, which allows you to basically point out of any helicopter. It doesn't require the certification you require for the bigger mounts. So it means that you can fly it in an R-44 or a 22, which are the little tiny, helicopters.
Yeah.
And you can, and effectively it just holds stable the shot. So even though the helicopter's going up and down like this, the shot is nice and solid. There's some great things on our stand where you can actually see some samples of what some DPs have done recently.
Well, look, talking about your stand, and we've got like 10 seconds. Everybody wants to know, how did you get the chopper in?
Yes.
The roof open, no. No, it was a truck, unfortunately.
It was a truck.
It was a truck.
Damn, we told
But
everybody.
they had to take the propellers
They
off.
had to take the
didn't you?
blades off, yeah.
Well, thanks very much, Greg.
All right.
Thanks so much.
If you're coming to the Simply Show, come and check out Greg's stand. Aerial Film Australia at the Simply Show. Website?
Is aerialfilmaustralia.com.au.
Okay, thanks very much, Greg.
Okay.
All
the
right,
best.
so you're with A Girl and a Gun live from Simply 13. We'll be back in a moment with Gerard Hosier from the Retro Tech Stand. We'll show you how editing used to happen.
Guys, it's been great being able to have all the students here working on the exhibition, bringing you recordings of the conferences, doing coverage of the stands here, showing and showcasing some of the new products, and we're converting all of those into video that we're streaming down our live stream. So when we're not doing this live show, we've actually got a playout stack running, and that's constantly feeding all of these pieces that we're editing together. It also gives us some content to use for future SEMTIs for promotional reasons and that sort of thing. But on top of all of that, it's fantastic in that it gives all of the students some experience on a real professional event. There's about 110, 120 students here at the moment working in various shifts, 3 field crews, 2 sets of conference crews running in the OB truck. So fantastic opportunities presented by this society and by this exhibition.
Hello, welcome back to A Girl and a Gun, coming to you live from the Simply Show 2013. We have a third final guest in here. We have Gerard Hosier.
Hello.
Hello. Our retro tech guy.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is right opposite where where A Girl and a Gun is coming from on our studio here. We have the Retro Tech display. Look, I just thought we couldn't go without bringing in this piece of technology. And this is 2-inch tape. Like this was the first video format that we had. And it looked like that. So that's what videotape was like when it first came out.
On a reel-to-reel spool.
But this thing is a splicer. This is like you cut the tape. And so this is how the editing used to
I
happen.
used to do that in the old days with audio tape, splicing audio tape together.
Videotape.
That's right, yes. Well, this is like the forerunner of the Avid and the Final Cut Pro, because this was the only way in the early days of splicing bits of tape together.
Right.
Each edit would take, if you were very skilled, probably 5 to 3 minutes to edit. And what you had to do is you cut the tape, and on the tape they had little markers, little electronic markers, because to show where the fields.
So as you're recording the tape, of course, you're recording a picture.
Well, that was the question. How do you know where the frames are? Yeah.
And that's the clever thing.
Yeah.
As Gerard says, you look at it electronically, so you can just see here on this tape, it's like pretty dirty. And you could put developer on the tape. And it had magnetic particles in it, and it would show you where the blanking was between the fields.
So you could see the...
You could actually see physically where
they had the irons had lined, they had the
That's right.
filings
What
had
you
lined
did,
up.
in fact,
That's why the microscope thing is here.
yes,
God,
you
okay.
had to look for the electronic sprocket holes, and obviously you can't see electronic sprocket holes on tape. So what you had to do is you had this fluid that had iron filings in it, and you'd paint it on, and the iron filings would clump around the tracks.
They clump where the magnetism was.
And there would be a little
picture.
Okay, yeah.
And then there would be a little blip recorded on the tape that said when the frame or each picture changed.
Right.
And you had to line that up, just like in a film. You can't
Yeah.
cut it randomly. So you would put this material that clumped on the sprocket hole, and then you'd have to use your microscope, look through here, adjust it very, very finely with the adjustment screws, to get exactly.
Just to get exact lineup.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then
you
slice.
then you sliced it like this, zoop,
Yep.
Note that slice. It is. Note that slice.
That's irrevocable.
It is wafer thin.
Wafer thin.
Wafer thin.
Yeah, and then you had your tape, and you had a little roller that you put down, and then obviously you did the same with you had to do with the other side.
Right. And then you'd physically splice it together with splicing tape.
That's right.
And then pray that went through the head block with the head spinning at 15,000 RPM.
Yeah, and didn't get jammed up.
And nothing jammed. And of course, if you got it wrong, there was nowhere to go.
There's your master tape.
That was it. That was your master
Yes.
tape that you were slicing up.
I remember doing this on audio tape. We'd have a diagonal splice, you know, but having to find the frame and all that, I didn't realise
Well,
that.
the diagonal splice on audio tape was
That's to avoid the pops.
Yeah, so you avoid
Yeah.
a pop. So you'd have a crossover. You
Yeah,
can't do
you
that.
can't do
in
that on.
video
No,
tape. No,
I
it'd have to
realised.
be-
Yeah, it's got to be a very hard splice.
Yeah,
And the heads were spinning at about 16,000 RPM
Yeah,
on
that's
air
like really
bearings.
God.
very fast.
So if there was any mistake in here,
Yeah.
you
Slice the
would write
tape.
your heads off,
Yes.
and your heads were, you know, many thousands of dollars to have
I
replaced.
saw a thing that said I think the replacement heads were like $8,000 a set.
That's
and
right.
Today you can buy a whole video player for $1,000.
And they had different qualities. That would have been the bargain basement ones.
Yeah, wow, fabulous. So look, this and plenty more, including, and we don't have time to show it today, the actual video recorder, a portable 2-inch video recorder that we have that would have recorded on this tape. It's all here on the Retrotech stand at Simply 13.
Yes, we're showing
And this is
our-
where this stuff's come from, thanks to you, Gerard.
Yeah.
We've got some of our set here has come from your Retrotech. We've stolen your
So
stand.
come down and see it. Hey, look, we've only got about 60 seconds left. Tomorrow in the conference, there's some great stuff happening, something that is really, really up and coming. AVB, Audio Video Bridging, the new standard you really need to know about.
Let me have a look
And
at the
I
rundown
also
here.
noticed Mad Max.
This is the
Ronnie
one I'm
Hansen
interested
will be-
in.
We'll be talking about the dead. What was
So
it? The
Fury
Dust
Road,
Clears.
the Dust Clears, Fury Road. So if you know about the
Yeah.
new Mad Max films, and there's been some challenges getting that film made.
Right.
You're going to have a few people here talking about the challenge of trying to get this
But
film shot and
that's
developed and
happening
everything.
tomorrow, Thursday.
Tomorrow, Thursday at what's that? 3:45 here.
in
If
the
you happen to be at the
afternoon,
show.
and the AVB session.
Will it be in
happening
3D?
It will not
Yes.
be in 3D, not here. You've been with A Girl and a Gun Live.
Yes, A Girl and a Gun live at the Simply 2013. Thank you all for watching. We have how many seconds have we got left, guys?
We look, just make sure you go and see it. A Girl and a Gun podcast, one
Yeah,
word.
find us at agirlandagun.tv, and you'll find us on YouTube, youtube.com/agirlandagun podcast. If you're not watching us live, you're watching us late on our channel or on our
Or some other
website.
time.
And don't
Yeah,
forget,
it's
come and see the Retrotech stand.
And if you come
It's
to the
our
show,
history.
come and look at Gerard's Retrotech.
It is. It's really important.
There you go.
Okay.
Gerard Hosier, John
And thanks to
Mazels.
our earlier guest,
Phil.
we've got 20 seconds
We've
left
got 20
officially, have we?
seconds left to pad.
I've got a pad for 20 seconds. Do I
No,
shut
you
it and do a
don't.
dance?
No, we could just actually throw to the closer.
Go to the closer.
Yeah.
All right. 8, 7, 6. Thank you all for watching Girl and Gun. Join us again tomorrow and Friday. That's a wrap.
All you need to make a move